Welcome to the group coaching module. This video is an introduction to some of the theories of group coaching. So we're going to define what group coaching is, talk about how it's different to team coaching, training and therapy in groups. Going to look at some examples of group coaching events, talk about the skills of being a group coach, and then just give you a bit of a heads up about what happens in the training on the day. And the facilitation side of things is that as in an individual coaching session where the process is emergent, which means the coach has to respond to what emerges and is not running a procedure, the same is the case in group coaching with a group of people. The group process is emergent and responds to what happens, and the coach is able to facilitate and hold the space to deliver the value as opposed to a procedure. The group dynamic that the coach is able to create through facilitation skills is a safe holding environment that supports people in the fundamental process of self-discovery and generating ideas and solutions as they do in individual coaching. One of the other big differences is that you enable the group to also behave as coaches for each other. So you're not the only person asking coaching questions. Through facilitation skills, you set up processes that allow the group members to be a resource for each other. So group coaching is a beautiful process that delivers a lot of value. It's also quite a lot cheaper for someone to usually participate in than individual coaching. So it allows people to have a coaching experience often for less than they would be paying in an individual session. And this is a continuum of learning methods. So remembering that coaching is fundamentally inside of an adult learning frame. And if we look over here on the left-hand side, the lecture has the largest group, and in that process the learner is most passive. And then on the far right-hand side, where someone works individually with a coach, mentor, or say for example in a workplace learning project, the learner is most active. The quality of the learning is in direct relationship with how active the learner is and how much that learning experience is tailored to them. So whilst individual coaching would be considered most tailored and accelerated, group coaching is next in line and not far away, certainly better for learning and outcomes being tailored to an individual than your ordinary training workshop. So the more individual method, the more relevant the learning is to the specific needs of the individual and the higher quality it is in terms of what they receive. Next we have the action learning cycle, which may be familiar to you. As a coach, this is fundamental to what you're doing. You're helping an adult move through a process of having an experience, reflecting on that experience, drawing their own conclusions, and as a result of that deciding what to do in future experiences. Which is why there's so much action in coaching, not just for the sake of it, but very much intended to design a process where people will achieve change and learning through experiences. So good learning design always provides for experience and reflection on experience. And in a group coaching process, where a group meets over time, say monthly, as for an individual one, people would go away and have individual experiences and be able to come back to the group and reflect on them. So that is a very powerful thing to be able to set up for someone, and from my experience the learnings are very rich and people appreciate learning from each other's experience as well as their own. How is group coaching different to training? Well, you're creating a solid connection with groups, not just individuals, and you listen to what the group as a whole wants and respect that agenda. So if you're doing pure group coaching, which is more emergent, there may be a process of group warm-up to an agenda to be able to select the topic or to narrow in on what's most important. So that requires you to have some facilitation skills to create that consensus around the agenda. You need to be able to adopt a style and approach that's based on the needs of the group and allow space for group members to learn from each other. So it's quite different from being a trainer. Facilitation will draw out learning across the group and also draw out a coaching style from other members with each other. You'll need to have a strong focus on having the client identify and act on their own goals and integrate learning with their real life experiences. So it's quite different to a technical training, and group coaches understand both coaching and facilitation. So let's talk about some important distinctions, most particularly the difference between group coaching and team coaching. In group coaching, people all have individual development goals on a similar theme and were possibly strangers before meeting in the group coaching. In team coaching, people are the member of a functional group, a group that has a particular objective that they have to meet together. So they share a vision or values or a project outcome. And these teams usually exist within a larger organisational system. So they have a group dynamic that carries into the coaching from outside of the meetings, and that is more complex. So teams are much more complex to coach with, and the coaching agenda is based on what type of team they need to be in order to achieve their objective and creating a dynamic that enables them to do so. Let's talk about some of the basics of group coaching, such as where it's held, with whom, and for how long those sessions go, what kind of numbers you would have in a group and it still be group coaching. So essentially, group coaching can occur in the same context where individual coaching occurs in big organisations, small businesses, government programs, and also public programs. It can occur with people that already know each other or people who are complete strangers outside of the group coaching. It may be also online, such as a webinar, or by telephone, or in person. The International Coaching Federation say that 13 is maximum for them to consider a coaching group coaching. A study in 2008, however, found that the best number was 7. After 12 people, essentially, the group becomes more like a facilitated workshop. And the length of a session, 47% of coaches that did group coaching said they held sessions for 1 to 3 hours, and 15% held sessions for 1 day. 90 minutes would be considered a maximum for virtual sessions because they're so hard for people to maintain attention just online. And in terms of duration, or how long the group may meet for, over how many months, for executive group coaching, over a third of executive group coaching took place over 3 to 6 months. Of course, it would be completely up to you and the group how long was the best time. How much of group coaching is actually a coaching approach? Well, if you're doing it in its purest form, the agenda as an individual coaching is the client's agenda, and there should be a minimal amount of content. Less talking from the coach and more experiential discovery for the client. And heavy use of the core coaching skills and competencies such as powerful questions. And when I say that the facilitator professional coach is not the only one who would be using those competencies. So one of the nice outcomes of group coaching is that the coach models this type of questioning and response to questions, and through things like ground rules makes it clear that it is not about giving advice unless it's group mentoring, and it's really about creating a holding space for someone to reflect and arrive at their own best answers. However, group coaching may also be mixed with other approaches. So, for example, you may, as a group, do group coaching for a period of time. So if it's a day event, for example, a couple of hours, and then switch to group mentoring, doing something like a mastermind where people get to share knowledge and resources and very much give each other advice. Also, you might have a longer event in which group coaching is just a session inside of a larger training where there's a lot of delivery of information, and the group coaching then allows people to process that information and arrive at their own answers. So don't think that group coaching has to be a standalone event. It can be blended with other things. It's all about achieving the outcome that the clients need and want. So the big question about group coaching is, how is it different from a training workshop? So other than the number of people in the room, another bunch of differences is that in workshops there is a focus on the transfer of knowledge, whereas in group coaching there is a focus on having the clients discover self-knowledge through reflection, and particularly reflection on experience. In workshops and training, there's an emphasis on the agenda of the facilitator. So the facilitator works through learning outcomes and usually has a structure or design for the process that's quite set. Whereas in group coaching, the agenda may be set by participants. In training workshops, there may be an attachment to specific outcomes, such as the learning outcomes that people have paid to achieve in the training. However, in group coaching, participants are unattached to a specific outcome. So the outcomes may be more emergent and surprising or spontaneous. And in group coaching, confidentiality is much more important, the same as in individual coaching. So it's part of the coach's responsibility to know that confidentiality is a realistic ground rule in group coaching. And how is it different to therapy groups? Well, in therapy, fundamentally, there's a focus on fixing problems by encouraging clients to revisit their past in order to move forward. And in group coaching, the discussion stays in the present and focuses on possibilities or potentials. It starts from the fundamental assumption of the completeness of the client, their resourcefulness, and is structured so that the focus is towards who the person is being or becoming. So it is fundamentally quite different. Some examples include a 1-hour drop-in session with different people each week, with coaching on specific themes or topics. A 6-hour program delivered over several weeks or months in smaller time slots to the same participants. An evening group coaching program. A 1 to 5 day intensive group coaching program, for example, over a period of months, but adding up to 1 to 5 days. And these are some of the skills of a group coach. Facilitation skills to lead a small group, including an understanding of group dynamics, which is different to what technical trainers or presenters would normally be thinking about. Coaching skills that lead to coaching activities, so the ability to facilitate coaching activities and tools inside of a group. And design skills, to be able to design a group process that leads people to achieve outcomes in a group environment, still within a coaching style. And this can include creating materials or workbooks that help people to move through the process or hold them in a process over time. And this will depend on how structured the group coaching is or how pure and emergent it is. During the 1-day group coaching training, you will be working in a group of no more than 10 people, and we will start by talking about group dynamics and how to create a holding space in a group, which is some of the fundamental facilitation skills required. Then there will be a large part of the day in experiencing group coaching live, including multiple different group coaching tools, and the topic will be on leadership of groups. So if you are a bit nervous about standing up in front of a group or thinking that you know enough to design a group coaching on your niche, this will be an experience that I hope will move you forward towards your outcome of being a leader of group coaching. And then we'll be designing a group process, so looking at example designs for short and longer formats of real group coaching events that I have delivered, and talking through design principles using those examples. Then you will get down to starting your own group coaching event design. Thinking back from the client group and the outcome or purpose that you know people are interested in, you will go into idea generation and begin the process of moving those ideas into a structure that would allow you to describe the event to others and enroll them in coming along. After the one-day workshop event, there is an opportunity to take advantage of some one-on-one mentoring with me online to help you take a draft design of a group coaching event and to complete it. So it's just to get some really intensive support to finish that design so that you've got a group coaching event to present. And this could be an event that you do commercially that you get people to pay for. It might be something that you do just to build your business, so you offer as a free event, or something that you offer internally if you're going to coach internally in an organisation. Whatever the market, it doesn't matter. I will be available to support you to complete the design if you don't already have group process design skills, and this could get in the way of you using your group coaching learning. Please do take me up on this. It's only available for 30 days after the training, so it's really meant to help you consolidate your learning by putting it into action and finishing the course with a real group coaching event design. I look forward to seeing you at the event and having a fun day learning about group coaching in person.